and welcome to the Noise Bottle Podcast. This week we have Mother Vulture. Hello, gents. How you doing?
Hey, Dan. How are you, man?
Hello.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Cool. If you could describe what you guys do for the people that are listening and haven't heard you before, you can use audio sounds or descriptive words, however you feel.
It's like, I don't know. It's like listening to AC/DC. If AC/DC were actually a punk band that, you thought were going to punch you in the face at any moment. Yeah, sort of like, I guess what I mean by that is like we all like classic rock, but we think without, to take away from what anyone else is doing, we think a lot of the modern style of like classic rock is just really boring. The way it's done, it's not to our taste anyway, and we're also into like a lot of modern stuff, a lot of modern rock, and we're just kind of like trying to fuse the two together whilst also doing the most mental show possible, I guess. Like, but it kind of comes naturally, none of it's forced. Like when we get on stage, it's just what happens, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. I'd say it's a bit like controlled chaos, really.
Yeah, I like that. That's it's a good description. So for people that have never seen you guys, could you describe your stage show? I mean, a little bit you have there, really, but what can they come to expect?
I guess it depends. We always end up sort of like tailoring each gig to how the night feels and like different audiences. Like it's always going to be loud.
Indeed, yeah. That's one thing that's always guaranteed.
We usually end up hurting each other a little bit. We like to climb things. Like to run around. Yeah, like just have a bit of fun.
Yeah, as a performance, not a lot of the things are premeditated. So, like sometimes we would do things that we like and we would use on other shows. As Brody said, it's really just about reading the crowd and what they're expecting to see. And just have fun. Yeah,
because I sort of found out about you guys from hearing about your Leapalooza legendary performance. And so that was kind of how I found out, and the fact that you were supporting the Moriarty was supporting you, who are like sort of friends of the podcast. So Yeah, I mean, I came and saw you guys play at Totnes, and it was wild. It's like a really awesome venue up at the Barrel House, and I don't think I've ever seen a show like that there before. So that was quite.
Yeah, well, like we went down there in August as part of our tour after Leah run. And like I think it was August. It might have been the November one. Anyway, like we love that venue. And like Christian's, he likes having us down. I think he likes sort of like it's a bit unusual for Totnes, I think, to have something like that going on. And it's quite a chilled out little venue as well. So
I hope he doesn't mind it. He got very emotional towards the end of our last one. Like he genuinely cried, and it made, I don't know, in a good way. Of course, it made me very happy.
But like we love the Moriarty Boys as well. Like I've been listening to those guys since like 2013, 14, something like that. Since I was. I was 16 when I started listening to them, and I was always just like, I want to do something like that. So like, it's definitely an inspiration for me.
No, it's great. It's lovely. It's like I really love. I'm like a big fan of sort of that. Sort of that period of music when like At the Drive-In came out, and not when they came out, but like when they sort of Relationship of Command came out, and I kind of came away from that gig feeling like I'd sort of seen. I don't know if you ever saw that they did a gig on Jules Holland, and it was just like this just incredible energy and just like it's bit mental, and I do love seeing that live. It's
I love I love bands that are mental. But one thing I gotta say is like I think we don't take ourselves too seriously. No, like in the sense that we know that we want our live show to be like, as you might enjoy it. It's a laugh. Like it's we're not doing anything and thinking with this or that. We just do it for fun. Yeah. And I see a lot of bands. We do pride ourselves on like playing whilst we do what we do. We can moving as much as we can whilst playing the parts, without hindering the music. And I do see a lot of these bands who go on like Jules Holland and stuff like that, and like Tiny Desk, and they try and do this sort of like mental stuff. But then when you listen back to the audio, they go so mental. The music's gone, and like that I'm not into that. Like, I think there's a balance, definitely. Like,
it needs to be fine. For me personally, as far as the performance goes, for me it was a bit like, how far can you go by like not scaring somebody, but intimidating them? Because if you intimidate a crowd, they get intrigued. Do you know what I mean? Not fully pushed away. And I think that's, again, back to that reading.
It's
the
like
public.
A balance.
It
like,
is.
Making them feel uncomfortable but not want to leave the room.
Exactly. You're just kind of testing them to see how far you can push them. And then when you see a kind of a borderline, you kind of stop there. As far as the music quality comes into play, like that has always been a priority. I myself, I'm not very good at it. Other people might think otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to be, a student to my craft to the end, really.
Yeah.
I've seen bands that I genuinely thought were gonna hurt me. Like, and you kind of get over the novelty after a while, and then you're just like, oh, now I'm kind of uncomfortable and scared, because you honestly feel like any minute one of them is just gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
and that does have its novelty, and it can be fun.
Of course, it can be.
But like we don't go that far.
No.
What's your bass player called? Is it Chris?
Chris, he might hurt you.
Yeah.
I found.
Still under the can't guarantee.
Yeah.
I stood at the front right next to Chris, and I did get a bit worried he was going to twat me in the face with his bass.
Yeah.
He's a wild card.
Yeah. Definitely.
How do you guys sort of how does that work for touring? Because it must be like incredibly tiring to just have that energy at every gig, and kind of I don't know.
Like, it kind of depends. Like for me particularly, like I can't speak for your guys so much, but like I hurt myself quite a lot, just like because I jump off of stuff and like on the floor, and like I get hit and so the first sort of like 3 or 4 gigs in a row are sort of like, they're really difficult because you're not warmed up into it, and I find myself in a lot of pain for the first few shows. But once you sort of like get over the bump and you've warmed up to it, and like you're sort of like loosened up a bit, it's cool. Like it's fine. But like we did a little tour in February, and we didn't do a single gig in January, and the first few gigs back was like
were very painful. For me, I guess it's like, again, similar to that, I hate one-offs. One-off gigs are just so much more pain and to deal with. The consecutive ones, you can kind of arrange how much you're eating, how much you're sleeping. Like as a vocalist, that's one of my biggest like problems, is if I haven't gotten enough sleep or enough food, I will suffer and I won't perform at my best. Those are the two like things that are like my kryptonite. But then as far as the as the vocal comes, and then the energy mixed with that, it's just about being able to read yourself and knowing yourself the best. It also can be other factors, like going back to Bristol, which is our home, working, like for example, because sometimes we might not stay out on the road at all. We might come back every evening in like 6 consecutive shows, and
we all work full time, so even when we're on tour, we're not really on tour. Like we've got like 5 or 6 consecutive dates, but we'll drive and come back and drive and come back. For Matt, who works full time like the rest of us, and is the only one who knows how to drive the van, he gets the really lame end of the stick. But it is what it is. We take time off where we can, but that's what it is. It's being in a band,
it just comes with it, I guess. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be nice if one day we could only do one, which would be quite ideal, but time will tell.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's a lot, isn't it? I mean, I'm a singer, and like it's just the punishment of doing gig after gig after gig. Just I can't dream of doing the singing that you do for your set. Like, you have incredible range. I would be destroyed by about 4 gigs in, I'd just be broken personally.
Like you said, he does much better consecutively. If he
Yeah.
has to sing every day,
Yeah.
it's fine. But if he has to sing once a week or twice a week,
Yeah.
that's when he starts getting into trouble.
It's because your voice is just changing from such dramatic, like you're
Yes.
pushing it, right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily up to technique or how you do it. It's just being on stage and doing that pushes your voice incredibly hard. It's not yeah. And I just cope with it by pretending, it's just a technique. So I like rely a lot on my technique to kind of carry me through. And
Yeah.
then as long as I've slept and eaten enough, as I said before, usually I'm pretty well. It's
Yeah.
not bad. But yeah,
It's the-
consecutive dates are definitely
Yeah.
better.
But
Yeah, I'm the other way around. Like it's the lack of sleep that kills it.
lack of sleep kills
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah,
Like,
that
especially-
really.
It's like
really
it's all right for the rest of us when Matt's driving. The rest,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
all take a nap in the back, but it's sort of like I take it upon my duty to, if Matt's awake, I'm awake. I don't like sleeping in the back while he's been driving all
No,
night all day.
definitely.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good friend. That is.
But we try to rotate now
Yeah, we
and
try
then
to
to try and
rotate a
keep them
little bit.
company.
But,
'Cause,
they always end up falling asleep.
Yeah, we've done some gigs where I'm down in Cornwall. I'm in Liskeard, and we've done some gigs up in like Plymouth, up in London and back, and like Kent and back. It's like 6 hour
Yeah.
there, 6 hour back, and you just it's killer, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
drive up in the morning, gig, come back, get in about 5 in the morning, just like
yeah,
broken.
yeah, basically.
We've got a couple shows later in the year which we can't say what they are yet, but we've got a drive from Pendine, we've got a drive from Bristol to
Yeah.
Pendine, and then
From
Pendine to like the other side of London, and and we've got to be there at the other side of London for this gig at about midday, so we're gonna have to leave
Jeez.
Pendine at stupid o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning.
it's gonna be fun.
it's gonna
Like
be-
these are like the times when I love. To be fair, and I know most people like complain about them and say, "Oh my god, this is impossible." But I truly enjoy it. I don't know why, and
Yeah.
I know it might be crazy and like people can call me a lunatic, but it's those type of moments that I love. It's just the curiosity behind how it's all gonna roll out, and just they're very important shows.
Yeah,
they're very important shows.
yeah.
And so it's really
Gotta
going to
do what
test
you
us
gotta
out.
do.
Yeah.
Why
just
not
gotta
do
push us.
2 gigs?
Yeah, which are on the other side of the country.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right. You and you have to be able to turn it on, don't you? And that's the thing. That's the hard thing of being a musician is like it doesn't matter if you've been up all night and then got up in the morning really early and then driven to the next gig. You have to like each show. And I felt like that when I saw you guys at Totnes. Like I felt like you were putting on the same show that you would put on in front of a massive crowd that you put on like in the Barrel House, which is like this beautifully just like a really I can't think.
Saloon almost.
Yeah, it's like really intimate, and it's got this like really lovely vibe about it, and that's really, I find that really hard. Like I personally find it really difficult to go to a smaller gig and do the same show I would do at a bigger thing. It's really hard to get your head around that, and but my friend came up and saw you in London, and he said you guys were just the same thing. It's just like being able to turn it on is a great skill.
We find it difficult for like 10 or 15 seconds while we're still like just the start of that first song.
It's
And then
nervousness.
once it sort of like kicks in, honestly, like you get blindsided by like how little people are there, and we just use it as a chance to sort of like try different stuff.
Yeah.
Like and some of our smallest, quietest shows have been
The craziest
helped
ones of them all.
shape our craft.
Yeah,
like
craft,
so,
yeah,
like
so much more.
so much, like knowing how to perform to no one has
Yeah.
Has its perks.
helped us
Yeah.
like, a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
As I said, it's like a lot of our moves and things that people say, it's like, do you plan the things that you do on stage? and it's merely by accident. It's those small shows where we try things out, and you know, after the show we all discuss like what we did, how we did, and then we say what was shit, what was good, and then we split the differences, and we kind of use the really nice stuff back in other shows, and just whenever we feel it.
I personally find it way more difficult performing on a small stage than doing on a big stage. Physically, not mentally.
No.
Like, because like with I don't know, something about big stage means you can almost have like bigger strides that take less energy, but being really close
takes more energy
together, you have to do a lot of small movements, and that that takes it out of you.
Yeah,
like, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's strange because sometimes they feel calculated, but the majority of the time they aren't, and that's how injuries occur, which is a part of it. You know, we accept that.
I can imagine you guys hurt each other so much all the time.
It's usually accidentally me and Georgie, but then occasionally Chris will just bust out a drop kick on one of us.
Yeah, which is
like
out of the blue.
And you never know when they're coming because he does them so sporadically. Like it'll just be like, hey, what? There's a foot in me. What's happening?
then you're contemplating like the whole show, like, oh my god, where am I? So but no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, that sounds. I love it. How did you guys get started? And how long ago was that?
Oh he always gives the wrong answer, which makes us seem like we're really old.
Yeah.
So like I met Chris in uni, and we started writing music pretty much straight away, and that was like
5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago. But like nothing. He always said like straight from the start. He has another band called Blank Atlas, who are great.
Yeah.
He said straight away, like, this is my band. I'll help you record a little bit here and there, but I'm not interested in a band. And I was like, yeah, cool. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just had a couple of song ideas, and always like a really big sort of like hump I had to get over mentally was songwriting, because it's something I'd always wanted to do but never been able to. I'd always like been way too judgmental on my own stuff.
Yeah.
And Chris like really helped me get over that. We just recorded some stuff, and I started like finally liking the music I was writing. Anyway, a couple of years later, actually, a throwback, I met Matt as well, the drummer, in that first, and he was, I guess, technically the first drummer that I worked with at uni. So he was sort of like the original guy, because I spoke to him about, I always had the vision for this band years and years ago. I knew I wanted to be, and Matt was the first person I went to, and he was well into it, but for some reason it never happened. So I kind of like, we almost sort of like lost touch a little bit, and then we met Georgie a few years later, and as soon as we met Georgie, Chris was like, actually, yeah, I think I do want to be
Wasn't that
this. Yeah, and then Chris was like, yeah, I think I do want to be in this band. And then we sort of like dibbled and dabbled for like a year or so, writing a bit of music, doing the odd sort of gig just to sort of like see where we were at. But like it, you know, again, like we did a lot of recording, we hung out a lot, but we never really like got the band going. And then it's sort of like the end of 2017, really. We actually started like at the end of 2017, we actually started like we actually named the band. We actually started like Vulture. Thinking, okay, we want to do stuff. Then we didn't do anything for a year. We released a single in 2017. Didn't do anything for a year. Yeah. And then basically at the start of last year, I was like, right, let's do it. Let's be a band. Let's start going on tour. Let's do it, because I think we're finally ready. We're good enough. And that's when the drummer decided to quit.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And then that's when Matt comes back into the picture.
Yeah, almost 5 years later.
And he's like, I still want to be in this band 5 years later.
Exactly.
Let's do it. And then here we are.
So now we have our supposedly original drummer.
It took many years to make, but now we're a band, and we've been going for about a year and a half, something like that. Yeah.
Christ, that's like I'm genuinely quite surprised, because for some reason I just assumed that you guys had been together for a lot longer. Or you've been more established. You've had quite a big. I feel like you've risen quite quickly. Then, really, that's awesome.
Like in 2018 we did like 5 gigs or something like that. So not a lot at all. And then 2019 was like the year we kicked off. We did a little tour in January, and then we basically were on tour every month up until December. We just got on it as much as we could. Yeah. And we pretty much want to do the same this year, like just gig as much as possible. We've got lots to do.
Yeah, to do. Yeah. Well, we're doing our best. So yeah, hopefully it'll bring newer things.
So that's quite a long-winded answer.
Yeah,
really,
No, that's great.
Don't
That's
offer you to get to tell the story.
How
in
many
much
shows did we
detail,
did
really.
in comparison though in
Oh,
2019?
we did like 5 or 6 shows in 18.
18,
We did
yeah.
1 show in 2017.
Yeah,
And then 2019, I think we did like 60 or 70
yeah,
shows.
60 or 70.
And then,
So that, yeah.
and this year it's looking like it's going to be between like 100 and 120 at least, something like that.
Hopefully.
Are you guys? Do you have like representation? Do you have like a manager or anything like that, or agents, or do you just do it yourselves?
It was DIY for a while, and then we got this guy John O'Sullivan who sort of like
Approach this.
He's good really, because he sort of like came to us quite early on. As soon as we started gigging, he'd sort of like caught onto it. He's done work with like Metal Hammer. And,
Oh wow, okay.
And stuff like that for years. He used to like do a lot of the organising for the Metal Hammer Awards and stuff like that. And he sort of saw us and he said, "Look, I'm not doing this anymore. I've done it for a really long time. I'm looking for a band to manage." And it's sort of been like chipping away at that.
We came into it very open-minded.
Yeah, we sort of,
we weren't very keen on like making things official by signing contracts or anything like that. It's literally we placed a bet. He placed a bet on us. We placed a bet on him, and just got to be got to know each other.
He's done like a lot of really good work in like, so he's our manager, I guess. Him and me, like we manage a band. I book the shows, but he does some of that as well. Like he's pretty much our like London coordinator. Like he sort of like gathers the crowds for the right people in London and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. It's quite terrifying to sort of do it yourself, isn't it? And like be responsible for it. It's a lot of stuff to do.
You just can't be lazy, which like and you can't be lazy and you can't be busy. Both of which I am. Yeah. So I'm the worst person for the job. I'm sort of like, once I'm motivated to do something, it's fine. But getting over that initial, because my God, the amount of venues and bands and promoters I messaged,
the first ever tour that we
like
did
in the space of like 2 or 3 months was unreal. And I can tell you for a fact that only one of them replied to me, and he said, "No, we're not going to give you a gig."
Yeah.
And then we started, and then I really pushed, and I managed to get us in a couple venues. And then as soon as we got in that circuit, about half of those all of a sudden started trying to book us and stuff like that. And I was sort of like, well,
fuck you.
There was.
But yeah, I get it. Like, sort of like at the time, it's really frustrating. Like, really
yeah. But it's really hard to get going, isn't it? It's really hard to get going.
And on the flip side, I'm sure every band, artist, promoter, blah blah blah, gets it every day, all the time. Give us a gig, give us a gig. We get it all the time from bands. Like, and it's you can't say yes all the time. And in fact, most of the time you have to say no. But I always try and at least get back to people and let them know.
And be honest.
Or like, be honest, because so it's really hard. Like,
it does. It's is there any? I guess is there any advice that you would give people that are starting out?
I don't know. I always kind of thought the way I was doing it was the best way to do it, because I tried to go like the really professional route. I was sending emails. I would sort of be like, and I'd try and be a bit professional and stuff like that. And I think maybe it's a little bit of a shot in the foot, really, because you don't stand out that way.
No.
I think you've just got to get the word around a little bit, and I think doing what you do really well, and just sort of getting that in front of a few people who are just going to let a few people know. Like for us, for what we do, playing live shows is always like been like the key.
Definitely,
because that's what we do best. Us sending our music to anyone was basically was useless, because out of context,
it was a shot in the dark.
Because out of context of the band, us sending someone our music means nothing.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, I don't know. I couldn't give any good advice for getting in touch with like people trying to get you gigs, I suppose. Just be persistent, like, because it'll, eventually someone will buy. If you're good enough, like
what you do.
someone will,
Yeah.
someone will
Someone
buy.
will definitely get you.
And be critical of yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like we're still not happy with some of the stuff that
No,
we do
yeah.
make. It's
All the
it's
time.
good to like always look at your stuff and know if you
Mm.
think, well, I've been sending this stuff out and
Yeah,
no one's
exactly.
getting back to me.
Yeah.
Why aren't they
Well,
getting
why
back
is
to
that
me?
happening?
Just sort of take a stand back and just like.
I guess this is what people wanted to know, because people look at the things that we've done as a band and they're like, oh, look
Yeah.
at these nice things. But that's only 5% of what we've actually tried to achieve. The other 95% was all practically failures.
Yeah,
Yes.
That builds
Yeah.
up to that 5% that people do see.
And
Yeah.
like I'm sure you know this. Like, just don't get disheartened by
Yeah.
people like not getting back to you because people are dicks.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
a few of the people that did get back to me were not very nice.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
And that's
It's-
understandable, not you don't know what type of thing that they desire from a band that they're trying to book.
yeah,
And it's very difficult to stay persistent. So yeah, that's pretty much the only thing. Just stay humble, professional,
yeah.
but also
don't annoy.
try.
But be persistent, but don't annoy people.
Don't annoy people. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And I
it's
know
re-
that sounds difficult, but
Yeah.
it is really difficult, isn't it? I think, to be honest, I have no it makes me feel really sad thinking about ever starting another band or being part of a starting band because it's just so much work.
Makes me we hate to have
Yeah.
to do it again.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, it's really difficult. It's just
Look.
yeah.
If you're good though, and you get over that hump, those offers will start rolling in. I swear, I've got the amount of work we get now, is great.
It's great. Yeah, it's more than we could have asked for, which is the funniest part.
But we're still gonna
Yeah.
ask for more.
But we're still gonna ask for more because it's that whole thing of once you achieve something, you get hungrier and hungrier. You want to keep on going, and it's not to say that sometimes you take things for granted because that's not how we are. We know exactly how hard it was to get to here.
Yeah.
One of my mega aspirations, a few years ago, was oh man, I'd classic rock. I'd love to be in the magazine. And then now we've been in it. We've been 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But it's just it just happens, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
It's and it's a moment. And you don't really know how to intake it at first, and then you get more passionate because you have done it before, but then you start chasing other things that you haven't achieved yet.
Yeah.
It's just a simple thing of just pushing forward until there is nowhere else to go.
Success is a really quite a dangerous and it's quite a toxic thing, isn't it? Because
definitely
you can never have enough of it. And when you get it, it never fulfills. It doesn't.
Exactly.
No,
It doesn't really give you what you want, does it? Ever?
You have a moment of satisfaction, and then you sort of put your hands and go, okay, what next?
What next?
Because once you sort of you hit the where you thought you wanted to be. Once you hit that, you realise, well, actually, this is just a really small step in what could, you sort of it just makes you realise where you can go with things, I suppose.
Yeah.
But we sort of as a band, we always try and remember, we always talk about this, we have so much fun playing gigs, and we love playing, and we have, it's great. And we always say, we would all be happy if we could just do what we're doing now, if we just could keep on doing what we're doing now. The crowds don't have to get bigger, nothing has to change. If we just keep doing what we're doing and playing shows, that would be enough.
Yeah. That's the dream scenario, is to be content, isn't it? That's really
that's it.
And although we always, we'd love to play bigger shows, we'd love to do this and that, we would be happy if we just got to keep playing shows.
Have you got any what's your, so this year coming up, what are your aspirations for I've got loads of questions, so I'll just start. What are your dream gigs that you would like to do?
It's weird because there's a lot of really small bands I like, as George does as well. We like playing with bands we like, not necessarily really big bands. But I suppose, I don't know, the big tours. I'm trying to think if there's anything I saw this year and I was like, oh yeah, that would be I think Psychedelic Porn Crumpets are they they have a really good thing going at the minute where they can fill out like really nice sized rooms. Like I think like 1,000, 2,000 cap venues are like really where it's at. I think once you start getting bigger than that, you start to lose something. Like you lose a bit.
You can't service the crowd, can you? You're not connected. Yeah.
You lose connection with the crowd. The sound, no matter what happens, the bigger the venue gets, the sound for the being on stage gets worse. I think it probably gets worse for the audience as well, from my experience. And I think where they're at, like people like psychedelic porn clubs, they get really good crowds as well, like rowdy crowds. So like going on tour, like someone like them would be really sick.
Is there any venues or sorry, my things. Is there any venues or places that you'd like to play, or festivals that would be really like up on your to-do list?
On our to-do list, there's loads. Like obviously, like stuff like Download,
Trees, 2000 Trees.
Yeah,
2000 Trees is excellent. I love 2000 Trees.
Yeah, 2000 Trees is like, you know, we're not too big for our boots in any sense, but like that is one I was kind of like thinking, I think we really might get on.
You would go down well there. Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
thinking, I was like, I think we've done a bit of groundwork. I think we should, and then sort of like it just hasn't happened, and I'm sort of like, okay.
Yeah,
but,
I was really hoping.
But we've got like a lot of stuff. Like obviously Download, like loads of bands we played with last year are playing Download this year, which kind of makes me see like maybe not this year, you know, but next year could happen. Like you know.
I don't know. We always just keep an open mind. There's so many different stages that we would like to try out. You know, I don't really have a dream one to be exact, because every time I set myself one, I start going on to another and another. So like, I think my mind have just been open to too many different festivals and different venues, which I would like to play. And there's just too many of them to keep track of, to be exact. I don't know.
Saying that, we've got some biggies to announce this year.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff to announce this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you guys doing? I guess you're doing an album. Is that something that's going to come out this year, or is that secret information? Or
well, it's sort of we were sort of like, it's a secret, and now we just sort of like talk about it because it's we have material, like we have stuff we want to release, but we just want to do it in the right way. If there's a chance we can go back and do some of it again better, we're not going to put anything out that we're not 100% happy with. There's definitely some stuff that we're going to release some more stuff. But like releasing a debut album when you're a small band can be dangerous, because the debut album has a lot of weight on it, and if you release it when you're too small or the album's not good enough or anything, if that's the benchmark that you're setting and it's kind of low, or you've not got an audience to put it out to, it's kind of pointless. Like it's also
inferior to absolutely everything else you do after that.
Yeah, it's important to have music so people can find you and see what your sound is and stuff like that. Yeah. But putting out an album is dangerous, and we thought we were going to do it, but now we will see. We've got stuff to put out, but maybe just not an album yet.
It's all been recorded. That's the thing, but we're slowly, I don't know if milking it.
We just don't know.
We
just want to make it cohesive as well. Like some of the stuff sounds different, so we're not sure if we want to put tracks on an album that we recorded 2 years ago that we recorded last year.
Exactly, and it's also to say that we have made new material since then, which we've recorded as demos, and then we've gone, wait, this could fit perfectly into some of the repertoire that we have already got, and it's replacing older pieces which we had made before. So really, it's no clear plan. It just depends on how everything unfolds. During this year with the gigs.
Just depends which major label signs us first.
Look at that joke.
Yeah, give us the money.
Do you still believe in the idea of a label and being signed and all of that kind of stuff? Is that something that you?
I do. Yeah. I do, but to an extent. My perspective has changed drastically, but I don't know about Broad specifically.
I kind of think it's the only way to go still in a way. Like I'm sure a lot of people will think differently, but if you get, I'm not saying it's a guarantee to success, but if you want to make something that sounds really good, that's going to have a bit of backing behind it, a bit of money, I think I'm really into sort of traditional business model, or doing live shows and just putting out music. I'm not into like the whole sort of warping of social media where you trick people into liking your Facebook or following on your Instagram, or you put out clickbait and that sort of stuff. I'm not, we want authentic fan base. You see bands who have 40,000, 100,000, a million likes on Facebook, but then their engagement is like zero because it's not real. It just looks. It's just looks. So we want to do things authentically, and I think a label is kind of a good way to do that if you find the right one, of course. And you need, and especially when you're just starting up like us. What do I know? Like, I've never been signed to a major label, but it's think someone who kind of gives you like lets you keep your authenticity and your originality. Someone's like not going to completely like stranglehold you and make you do what they want to do just because they want to sell. Like,
it's really difficult, isn't it? It's I kind of to a degree almost imagine that like that model is for super big bands, and everything else just benefits more from just being sort of smaller and like and doing it yourself. I don't know, and I don't know what the answer is. I just always, for some reason, and I don't know why, I just kind of. But
this is the thing by what you mean by big. I know bands with much smaller followings than anything that we've had currently, and they can fill up like a 500 cap room.
But not just that. You've got bands who literally record something off of one microphone on their laptop and whack it on
it's
YouTube,
done,
and it blows up. Like I think, like, I don't know if I might be mistaken, but like the Chats, they released like Smoko. And that absolutely were mental, and the recording quality is like very minimal, and like the video is nothing. It's just them messed around, but stuff like that can absolutely blow up. So you don't need a major label at all.
No. That's how I feel. Yeah, absolutely. I kind of almost, I don't know. I just assume that maybe like unless you're like Rihanna or somebody, you don't bother. But like it's interesting, isn't it? I think I grew up thinking when I was younger that I was wanted to be in a band that would get signed and we'd sell CDs and we'd like, do you know what I mean? All of that stuff. And then the older I got, I've been the band I've been in for like 7 years, and we just do it all ourselves. But we're much smaller, and so you just get used to that idea that people just kind of do it yourself. I
know what you mean, and it's really nice having that. Being able to be independent and know what you make is what you make. No one's taking the cut. No one's taking this and that. But there's also, I feel like there's definitely a little bit of like comfort in knowing you've got a bit of something to like lean on, like and sort of like, and someone saying this is your budget, go on, do exactly the best of what you can do, and having that sort of headroom, like that little bit of extra cash to do something like you're really like proud of, if they're giving you that leeway to sort of like work how you want to.
In my opinion, it's just that it's two sides of the same coin, right? You do it yourself until you become big enough to be actually bought by or supported by a major label. The thing is that they don't want something that's just starting up, and if it is, it's done by really good networking. And then the other side is that you do it so well that eventually they simply cannot ignore you because you're making too much and they want a piece of the pie. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But this is the same thing. You're basically creating like a label or an imaginary fan base around your creation. So really, we're just doing something that's already been done hundreds of times.
I mean,
but to do it successfully, it's different for so many people, and measurement of success is completely different. So who am I to say what will work for us or for another band? It's
exactly. It's down to the individuals at the end of the day. And like, speaking from a little bit of insight, we've had the chance to look at some label offers like that may or may not have been pushed our way, and we've had and we've looked through them, and I gotta say, like, it's all really like reasonable stuff, like, and it would be massive support, and we could have potentially gone that way, but for the stage we were at, it's sort of like, it's almost kind of like, well, go big or go home, and it's either you want a big boost, or sort of like we might as well keep doing it ourselves, if you know what I mean, like, because otherwise you're signing, like, for a band which I'd like to think is quite early on, sign into a label, no matter how big or small or how reasonable the deal is, you're committing a lot of years to be into that label, unless you've got money to get out of it.
Yeah. It's I find the whole thing quite terrifying, and I used to think it was really seductive, and the more I think about it, the more I kind of get into this mindset of like I just.
The fear is imminent, but that's kind of what drives you to try it.
We've experienced that seduction. We've experienced it. Yeah. People
that's been there.
They'll get you in a corner and get you alone from the rest of the band, and they'll have a word with you.
And you're just there like, look, mate, I don't know you.
Like, people try and like get info out of you. So they can worm their way in. Like, the industries they're funny
finicky.
People. Like,
finicky.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? It's a really interesting.
Fun, yeah.
So, just changing tack. What do you guys consider to be your influences, and do you have any recommendations?
Well, it's like. For me, it's always been like AC/DC. It's been a band like I've absolutely loved for like very, very long time. And then I sort of like have that as the baseline for everything I play, I would say.
Yeah.
Because like I love AC/DC, but I don't really want to write music that sounds like that.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, whenever people see us live, people are like, "Do you know you remind us of like AC/DC on like crack?" And I'm like, it's not a bad thing. Somehow that always comes through, even though I'm definitely not trying, because I don't want to sound like AC/DC, even though they are my favorite band. But then like I said, like for me, like the first bands I started to hear, and I was like riffs, like I guess like it's like Moriarty. Who kind of like they did a cover of Balls on the Parade when I see them live the first time. That really got me into Rage Against the Machine, and then I was like, riffs. But then, it's always just been about like nailing riffs, and I love bands like Slaves and Royal Blood and like Ladybird, Jamie Lemon, Haggard Cat, like just all about riffs.
Nice.
For me personally, it was just growing up. It was pretty much from my granddad's side, because his collection of music was ginormous, and usually the things that always pulled me was the rockier stuff, Guns N' Roses, the Rolling Stones, Beatles. It was just very old school records that you would want like any child to listen to, because you just listen to this, it will inspire you. And then I guess the record that really always spun me off and like made it for me was Slash's Snakepit. The first one was released in '96, I believe, called It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere. And that record like basically defines like what I wanted to do musically in the future. But then obviously I have modernized it in lots of different ways. However, if you were to ask me what I listen to now, oh no, it's troublesome. It's literally anything that has substance to it. It's real.
He just listens to mumble rap.
No, yeah, sure. I do like it from time to time, but it depends on like by the artist.
It's worth noting that Matt's favorite bands are Beatles and Oasis.
Yeah.
Mine is AC/DC. His is like Guns N' Roses, and Chris is like. I don't know. His favorite band used to be like Iron Maiden, but he's into like really oddball stuff. Like basically, 2000 Trees is his favorite band.
It's like a really eclectic selection of things, and I quite like the juxtaposition of your vocal style with the music as well. It's like really, I don't necessarily think of those two things as being, there is a sort of a kind of weirdness to it that's really interesting, and like. Yeah, I like it. It's it's odder, isn't it?
Singing. I always felt a little bit torn between the two, because I'd been in like a grunge metal band where I used to only do like screaming vocals, and then I've been in other ones where I used to do just singing, and it never really stuck. I've always wanted the two of the both of best worlds, and that obviously was a challenge in itself. But I don't know, once I started playing with these guys, they just kind of allowed that and made space for it to grow. Yeah. And I think that, if it wasn't for them, really, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do it in the first place.
It's definitely like, for me, it's like pieces to the puzzle, because I find it difficult to write music on my own. Like, I always write stuff, and I think, no, this is whack. Like, this isn't, this ain't going to work. And then I sort of like, once you get the drums on it, I sort of think, oh, it's all right. But I always have to have in the back of my head, like once the other two guys, once Chris and Georgie get on this, it's not going to sound anything like I think it is. Because Chris is such a gnarly bass tone, man. I mean, evil. And once you put that on anything we play, and his vocals, like any individual part of any of our songs, kind of sound like a little bit too much of this or a little bit too that or not enough grit, but once you put it together, like it's sort of like that's when you get that sort of like that sort of like, it's almost like it's got like a bit of classic rock, but it's got a bit of edge, and then it's got like just ridiculously stupid high vocals, yet like deathcore screaming.
It just that was the thing. It as you said, it's the juxtaposition. It's like complete and utter contradictory of what something is supposed to be, and then you go, well, what is this? Why can't I understand it? And that's what intrigues people, in my opinion, and that's why I started doing the two together. But I mean, lots of bands do it out there. I'd been,
so
like quite admired. Yeah, I'm just. So as far as I'm concerned, don't worry, it's nothing special,
No, but I mean, it is interesting, and also like music is all about finding your niche and finding the thing that you like to do and making space for yourself, and like being a bit different is really important and actually quite a rare thing. So it is good. It is nice that it kind of all comes together like that. Do you ever suffer from writer's block?
Pretty much 11 and a half months of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's that one
honestly, so the last 3 times we've been in the studio, we've had the studio time sprung upon us, and we've had to write the songs in 2 weeks. And that's happened a few times in a row. It's sort of like all the other stuff, it's sort of like it builds up over like 1 or 2 years, like
Mr. Jones
months,
was written in 10 seconds. Example.
Yeah, it literally written.
It wrote itself.
Everything just gets written really quickly because we have to put stuff together quickly, and it's kind of the best way to do it because like we've all got good ideas, but we're all sort of almost like too shy to put them out there and piece it all together.
But this is the thing about the ideas: we actually create things, we break them up, and then never play them again, and then almost a month or 2 later, they would make sense, but in another song that we've just made up.
Like, we always write bits and bobs, and they won't up in a song,
and then they break
9
apart,
months later or something. Like that.
And then they come back to it.
But like, most of the stuff we write is we get put in a room together, and it's like you have to have 5 songs in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
like you have to. So we just write stuff like that.
So it's like it's just forceful. It happened. The last one was in Abbey Road when we got. It was the French students, and realistically, we'd only made 3 songs, but it was just like, you've got 3 days, write 4 songs, and luckily we hadn't recorded one really old one, so technically we did 4, but wrote 3 in the studio. And I had like literally about a half a day to write all the lyrics and the melody. It wasn't anything planned, so like it was just jump and do.
So essentially we go to Rockfield a lot to do recording. Because now we're like quite chummy with them, and like they're great guys. We love it down there. Occasionally, if they have a group of students in to do master classes, they'll get in touch with us and be like, "Can you come in? We need a band to record." Well, we usually get about a week and a half, 2 weeks notice to do that.
Nice.
By which point we've already recorded all the stuff we need to record. So we're like, if we're getting free studio time, we need
write some stuff.
So we did that. Went into Rockfield for what was it? Day.
Pretty much
a day. Did that
session,
and then on that day, all the students were Abbey Road students, and they said, "Hey, next week, do you want to come to Abbey Road?" And we're like, "No, we've write even more songs." We're not going to not go to Abbey Road.
No, of course.
We're not going to stuff we've already recorded. So
what's Abbey Road like? Is that a dream?
Mental.
I never wanted to live there. I was contemplating creating like a secret hideout in somewhere in the building and hiding forever.
Let it be said, like Rockfield is pretty much my favourite place on earth.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful farm studio. But Abbey Road is just like, it's an event. Like it is just every time you walk out the door, there's a big group of people taking pictures of you because they just think someone's really
that was pretty funny. That was really hilarious. And I'd be there just like posing and everything. Nah, it's just jokes.
It's mental. Like, it's just like Rockfield's like out of the way. It's quiet. It's you there. It's like it's no one else. It's lush. But like when you go to Abbey Road, there's people like about all the time. Like the day we left, like Biffy Clyro went in.
Literally, the day
while
after.
we were, I think we were there, they were recording some music for like Star Wars or something, which blows my mind.
Nice. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's absolutely enormous as well. Like the rooms they've got there are mental, and it's
but
beautiful.
Still,
it's
like
beautiful.
I personally would prefer, even if I had the budgeting to like go freely to record anywhere, I'd still pick Rockfield, not only because like that's where we carved a lot of our sound, but just I don't know.
Home.
It's home, yeah.
Yeah.
And like again, as I said, right? So Abbey Road is practically a massive institute. It's a business, right? It's not just about going in there, recording, doing your thing. When you go in Rockfield, you know the people. You have a connection to with them instantaneously, because when you're in that environment, you don't have a choice. No. And you know that we just made friends, and you know that's why I will always meet a lot
they're
more.
The best,
but
like Abbey Road are
still
like,
great. Yeah,
awesome.
Just it was just two different vibes. Very, very different. Can't really compare them.
I think people forget how important like people connection is when you in a studio. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes it's the people that you record with,
Indeed.
like, or the space feel. You know, like that is a really important thing.
We sleep at Rockfield in the accommodation. We get up in the morning. There's a pot of coffee on in the kitchen. Morning, guys. Blah blah blah. Abbey Road. Every morning you go in and you have to sign in, and they don't recognise you from the day before. Not the same for all.
Not
get so many more people.
It's more professional. Right? That's kind of called it more of a business than it is you being having the leisure.
I will say one thing though. The bloody guy who runs the cafe down there.
Yeah.
He's a cat.
It was a laugh. It was great. Oh man. No. Yeah. Yes. I know.
Anyway, it's just
well, let's just say we had a good time. Yeah. It was funny.
But not because of him.
No. It was just laugh. Yeah.
I know you're running out of time because you've got your bread to sort out.
Yeah.
What equipment do you guys use? Is there any like pedals or stuff that you use that are particular to your sound?
I like to think it's a big secret.
But
I would probably think that anyone that listens to us with a musical ear or technical knowledge would guess we use octave pedals.
Yeah.
Because there's only two of us.
I saw Chris is using like a POG. Is that right?
Yeah. So Chris goes up an octave, I go down an octave. So guitar, you've got a guitar and a bass on each side. And that's kind of like, that's as technical as we get, really. We don't use anything more than that, apart from distortion. Like everything's distorted, even the drums.
That's the live setup. I think a lot more goes into it when it comes to the recording part of things. That's actually a fact. Even on our recordings, the drums are distorted. Like everything's distorted. And compression on everything.
Just because it just sounds nice and warm. But octave down is basically as much as you're going to get out of us.
Yeah.
We don't like to mess around and press pedals. Like I'm not into it. The less I can press and muck around with my feet, the better. I've actually the last time I did anything to play a pedal board, I took 3 pedals off of it.
Right, nice.
And it's still homemade.
Yeah,
still a homemade
piece of wood.
Piece of wood. It's like, where did you get this? It's like, no, you don't understand. I
just built it.
Caveman build something.
Our rig rundown is a piece of wood in a bag for life.
Yeah, that's it. That's a slogan, man. Jeez. That's good. Anyway.
So just to wrap up, where can people find you, and what just shine some light on all of your stuff?
We're kind of everywhere, you know. We don't like to we kind of have that thing like when we play live, you get bands and they're like, oh, by the way, we're on Facebook. It's like, well, yeah, obviously you're on Facebook. Yeah. Like, by the way, check us out on Spotify. It's like, well, yeah, obviously, like everyone, you know, like.
If you're not on it, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, but like we're everywhere, you know. I would be surprised. I just made a Twitter account actually. I probably will never ever go on it again. But one of the guys from the Riot Act podcast was going on about us, and I had to make it known because he put up this really mental description of a band he saw in London after the Aussie launch, which was us but didn't name us. And
Yeah.
I went on the thread and I was like, "It's us, by
It's
the
us,
way.
yeah.
Like, it's us." Obviously, like, he's got a bit of a little following and stuff. But yeah, that's as far as I've gone with that.
Yeah, I guess just keep an eye. Most of our dates are usually posted on
Yeah.
Facebook, I guess.
It's worth mentioning as well. I thought I'd just slide this in at the end. Matt will kill me if I don't give him a shout out for his British drum company drum kit.
Yes,
because
yes, we
he
need
wants
to.
a sponsor from that baby.
Don't we
he wants the endorsement. So BDC Matt West, Mother Vulture, looking at you.
Roadrunner, Cobalt.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out right over here, like,
That's brilliant. All right, Georgie and Brody, thank you very much. This has been Mother Vulture, and this has been the Noise Filter podcast. We will catch you again. Thank you, gents.
Take care.
Cheers, dude.